any idea of how this is gonna work. So we're figuring out things as we go.
We have 5 frontrunners from the new season of The Bachelorettes. Hey guys, and welcome back to another shared news. We have the inside scoop on 5 important men from the new season of The Bachelorettes. But before we get into it, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on any future videos. I'm Alison Van Dam, joined today by Gianna Gravelese and Blakely McHugh. Ladies, I would like you to tell our audience, after watching The Bachelorette's premiere, who you would put with each of our bachelorettes out of all of the men. Before we even get into the top 5 frontrunners, if you could choose, who would you put them each with?
Okay, I'll take it away. Goodness, that one's difficult. So I really actually liked, is his name Ryan? The Boston guy with the whiteboard. I really liked him for Gabby. I felt like they already had like a very familiar, relationship. Their banter was super comfortable and goofy, which is just what Gabby likes. I don't know, they just seemed so comfortable together. So they had a certain spark that I feel like I did not see Gabby have with a lot of the other men that she had conversations with. And as for Rachel, I mean, she obviously loved Tino, and I think she had a great conversation. But my problem with Rachel is she had a great conversation with every man. I mean, is it Hayden, who was the grocery store Joe lookalike / Josh Peck, and then Tino, and then she had a great conversation with somebody else. I'll just go Tino right now because she obviously gave him the first rose, and she seemed to really like him right off the get-go, even when he came out of the limo.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because it's still so new. And it's funny, after the first episode, we say names and I'm like, wait, who is that? Who is that? Like, I still need a cheat sheet. I'm going to go ahead and put Gabby with Eric. So Eric with an H, he's the one that were sitting on the couch together, him and Gabby. They were like cuddly and close. And then Eric was like, yeah, I can get the first impression rose from her. And then the only thing about Eric is that he then went and had like a similar conversation with Rachel, was like swooning her in the same way as well. And then was also like, oh, I could get the first impression rose from her too. So he was kind of like playing both cards, but it's like also with these men, you kind of have to date both women. Like it's still such a sticky situation, but I liked Eric with Gabby. And then I'm going to just throw everyone for a loop here and say, I would like to see Rachel with the shirtless, like, horseback rider. I could just see them riding off into the distance together. They're both blonde. I feel like they'd be such a good looking couple. I don't even remember the conversation that they had together, but I feel like it could be a good time.
Okay.
All right. Well, Gianna is throwing us for a loop by bringing Jacob in here. I have not heard of him as a front runner. However, we do have 5 front runners for this season. So let's get into them. So first off, we have Zach. So Zach is a 25-year-old tech executive from California, and he was the first guy out of the limos, which historically is a good sign. So to remind you guys, Lauren B was the first woman out of the limos for Ben Higgins' season, and Jordan was the first guy out of the limos for JoJo's season. Bree was first in Matt James's season, and she also received the first rose of the ceremony after Abigail got the first impression rose. So this is definitely potentially a good sign. It might be that we're going to see more of Zach, or he's going to have a deep connection with one or maybe both of them. But we didn't see a lot from Zach as the night went on. So do you guys think he still has a chance for becoming a front runner? And which bachelorette do you see this tech executive falling for?
I think he definitely still has a chance to be a front runner. I mean, like you said, typically the person who comes out first out of the limo has some sort of impact. So if we're basing it off of history, then I think that we're definitely going to see Zach actually make some moves. We're going to get to know him better. He's going to be involved a lot more. I think maybe they're just trying to keep us on our toes without showing him and being like, oh, we're switching things up, even though maybe they aren't. Or they very well could actually be, and they just had him come out of the limo to begin with to say, so that the viewers couldn't predict what was going to happen next. I personally think that we are going to see more of him. As for which bachelorette do we see him falling for? I don't know. Gianna, I'm going to toss that one to you.
Okay, so first off, I'll say I'm a very vibes person. I need to pick up on a dude vibe. And Zach just gave me really cute, innocent, wholesome vibes right off the bat. I loved when he started going off about like himself and whatever. And then Rachel was like, do you have a name? Like he didn't even say his own name because he was so nervous. And I thought it was so adorable. You know, he didn't try to rap at them. He didn't have a choir. He didn't bring a pillow. Like I love the sweet, simple limo entrances. And I loved how nervous he was. He wasn't overconfident. He wasn't like underconfident. I thought it was perfect. So I really liked the vibe he gave off. That being said, I'm going to put him with, again, Gabby, because I feel like Gabby is so up here and she's, you know, an extrovert. She's like no filter. She's out there, loud, fun, amazing. And sometimes you just need like the polar opposite. And that's what Zach seems like. And they could make a perfect balance and then fall in love and get engaged. We'll see, maybe.
Okay, kind of to bounce off what you said, Gianna, I almost feel like Zach may be too sweet and innocent for Gabby, because Gabby is so sarcastic that I could almost see her like bulldozing over him a little bit. So to go off of you a little bit, I think I'm going to say he would be really good for Rachel. And by the way, you guys, we're forgetting that he is featured in the very end of that trailer with that like huge conversation with Jesse, or what they're making to seem be a big deal, where Jesse is saying something to the degree of, you know, what are you going to do? And he says, well, I have to tell her, something like that. So we know that he's going to be playing a pivotal part later. So really this just first episode wasn't for him. But I think it goes with what you were saying, Alison, like the person who comes first out of the limo usually is an important part. And those two are making sense to me, especially since we see in the commercial that he has this, what looks to be a deep, difficult conversation with Jesse.
Totally. And thank you for bringing that up, because then it makes sense of why they would even maybe edit it around so that he did come first, even if he really didn't. Because if they know at the end of the season that he had this big pivotal moment where he either self-eliminates or has to have a really honest and vulnerable conversation with one of them or both of them, it would make sense that they would want us to flag him first as the first guy to the limo, as the first guy to talk to them. And he did seem really genuine. And Gianna even said, like, you know, he stumbled for a bit and forgot even his name because he was just saying how lucky he was to be with both of them. So high hopes for him. I think we will be seeing more of him for sure. But moving on, the next front runner is Mario. So that is Gabby's first impression rose recipient. Mario is a 31-year-old personal trainer from Illinois. And Bachelorette history, again, has taught us that this is an important moment and can often be a sign of a final rose pick. So a lot of the times, whoever gets the first impression rose is also the final rose pick. So for example, Michelle gave her first impression rose to Nate. Caitlin gave hers to Sean, JoJo to Jordan, Rachel to Brian, and Becca to Garrett. So Gianna, what did you think of Mario, and what did you think of their conversation at the cocktail party?
Okay. I didn't love Mario. I don't know if it was their kiss that threw me off as well as the rest of Bachelor Nation. And I know Blakely texted me right away about the kiss because we were live texting each other through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the fact that it seemed like he was reading a script or like playing a role. Like, again, I'm a very vibey person. I like when people are like Zach. They're more nervous because it's genuine. They're not trying to put on a persona. And for some reason, again, I can't even pinpoint like exactly what he said or why. I felt like he was putting on some sort of persona for some reason, if that makes sense. And I'm like, maybe Gabby gave him the first impression rose because, again, like a big topic of the first episode was like, when are the guys going to start kissing? Like Gabby and Rachel were literally like, why is no one kissing us? And then Mario was so forward and upfront being like, can I kiss you? So I think that made a first impression on Gabby and ultimately led him to getting the rose. But I don't know, and I'm not trying to be mean by any means here. Like, I think he's a great guy, but it just seemed inauthentic to me for some reason.
Yeah, Blakely, do you agree? And do you think Mario will be Gabby's final rose pick?
You asked Gianna what she thought about their conversation, and truly, like, I didn't think anything about it. That's how inconsequential it was to me. Like, it did nothing about their conversation resonated with me. I couldn't tell you one thing that they talked about. The only thing that I could tell you that Gianna said was that their kiss was so awkward. Even in those photos that we were just looking at, like, their body language to me did not say, I am feeling this kiss. Like, Mario has his leg in between them. They're like 10 feet apart from each other.
Yeah.
And they're barely touching. I mean, like, first off, look at this picture. We've got the knee there. I mean, look how far Gabby's leaning in. We're not getting equal parts. The other photo that we had up a little bit, they weren't even touching each other whatsoever. So it felt like this moment, this is not a natural kiss to me. This is not sparks are flying. I'm having the best chemistry in the world. Give me this man. This moment should have happened with Eric. They were literally like their physical chemistry, their body language was saying so much. Their body language is also saying so much, but it's not what I think they want their body language to say. This is saying we don't like each other. We're just kissing for the reason to kiss. Apparently there was something we didn't see or didn't feel though, because obviously he did get the first impression rose. So, long story short, do I think Mario is going to be Gabby's final pick? I do not.
Great. We love a definitive answer. I'm with you guys 100%. I felt the same way with this kiss. It was just, and we talked about this before, Blakely, but it was like just like the reaching of the lips and going in and going out and like going in for a little bit more, but coming. Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. So let's get those kisses off of our screen. No one needs to see that any longer than they have to. Moving right along. Third, we have Rachel's first impression rose recipient. I thought their chemistry was a lot better than what we just discussed. So Rachel's first impression rose went to Tino, a 27-year-old general contractor from California. He memorably entered on a forklift, which he then descended, looked at them and said, "You're forking gorgeous," which I thought was cheesy but fun. And Rachel then said that he was her type and that she was, quote, immediately attracted to him. So during the cocktail party, Tino made an even better impression by taking Rachel to a staircase, a la the staircase where she cried about Clayton, where they shared their first kiss in order to kind of rewrite any negative memories she had. So Blakely, were you in any way surprised that Tino got her first impression rose? And who else were you thinking was a strong contender for her rose?
Not surprised at all that Tino got the first impression rose, of course, because we saw how she reacted when he got out of the limo, off the forklift, and like what she had to say about him right away. So that didn't surprise me whatsoever, especially because she kept talking about him throughout the night. And I didn't say this earlier because I actually forgot about him, but Jordan, I really, really loved Jordan. I loved her conversation with Jordan. I felt like they really connected over the race car and her being a pilot, and they had like a super deep conversation. I almost felt like their conversation was more natural and had more chemistry and would have led to a kiss had he like taken advantage of the moment. For some reason, Tino's conversation, while I think it was still great, their kiss didn't feel like it came at a natural and like organic moment for me. So I think that I wonder if Jordan would have kissed her if that that first impression rose would have gone to him instead of Tino. But obviously we know Rachel had a really, strong pull to Tino, so it could have gone the same way anyways. But I really like Jordan for Rachel too, which I didn't mention earlier. So I'm glad I had the moment now.
Yeah, and you will have that moment again because we will be touching on Jordan in a little bit. But Gianna, I wanted to ask you, it's clear that she is already so into Tino and maybe, her heart's going a little faster than her brain is even at this point. Do you think Tino has the potential to break Rachel's heart just like Clayton did?
Absolutely. If we know Rachel just from Clayton's season, we know that when she falls hard, and she feels. She's an emotional girl. I mean, in again the season trailer preview, we see her crying, I feel like, more than we even see Gabby crying. And yeah, I feel like right off the bat, even when Tino got off the forklift, like you said, Alison, Rachel was like, "Oh, he's my type. He's so hot. He's this, he's that." And then I believe she said, as the cocktail party was getting started, that she wanted to talk to Tino even more. Like her brain was like, Tino, Tino, Tino. And then I feel like although it was funny that he took her to those stairs, like that was a really like meaningful gesture of him. And I feel like, they had such a good moment together. They kissed, everything. So I think that, he could definitely break her heart. Not only if let's say he switches up and wants Gabby instead for some reason, or even though I believe, again, he said that he was there for Rachel and only Rachel. I'm pretty sure he said that on the stairs. But again, you never know with this season. Guys could switch up. They could self-eliminate. They could just not be into it anymore. They could be fake. They could be slimy. Like, we don't know. But I want to just say for now that Tino's a good guy because I really like him for Rachel. So
I agree. There's a lot of potential there, but it's also one of those high risk, high reward situations where it either goes really well or it goes really badly. So moving on to our last two front runners, we are going to go over who Gabby and Rachel's first one-on-one dates are with. So if you do not want to know that right now, please skip ahead to later in the video. But Gabby will be going on a date with Nate, a 33-year-old electrical engineer from Chicago, and Blakely, hold on to your hat. Rachel will be going on a date with Jordan V, the 27-year-old drag racer from Georgia. So I would love your guys' opinions on these dates. Put on your Bachelor producer hats for these first one-on-ones. Gianna, give me your predictions for what Gabby and Nate will be doing on their first one-on-one. And Blakely, let me know what date you would design for Rachel and Jordan on their first one-on-one.
So again, this is not a spoiler because this was in the season preview. Gabby and Nate are actually going to go on the helicopter ride over Los Angeles, followed by, a steamy little hot tub session. And again, what I can see from these previews is that they're going to be kissing a lot. Like, they're kissing right now in the helicopter. They were kissing in the hot tub, and they were, look at that. It's like very spicy. And they were laughing together, walking through the streets of LA, and they just looked so happy and smitten together. So obviously I think this is going to go well. I think that she's most definitely going to offer him a rose at the end of the date. And I feel like I also see Nate going really, really far. I feel like I've even seen his face in other shots for later in the season. And this is, a good time, a good one-on-one date.
Yeah, I agree. I think we saw in the past, or in the trailer that came up after the Bachelorettes, that we've seen Nate in some other countries. So I definitely think he's going to be a front runner for Gabby. As for Rachel and Jordan's date, I have absolutely no idea what they're doing. I would hope / think, here we go. I was going to say something active. So booyah, look at me. My producer hat is on and I'm hanging on, like Alison said. Also, you know what date this reminds me of? Nick Vial's date with what's-her-face who threw up during this. So hopefully we have nobody puking, although I think that they're going to be okay because Rachel is sort of used to this, and he goes 300 and something miles per hour in his race car, so they're probably prepared. But how fun does this look? They're kissing. What is this? Like, it's zero gravity, right? And I mean, I cannot see my man Jordan not getting a rose from this date. So I think that they are going to be having a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see both of them, both of the dates, Gabby and Nate's, Rachel and Jordan's, and I'm excited to get a little bit more of Jordan. I just think he's a cutie.
I am with you, and I was with you 100% on their moment of him, have the race car moment on night one. I think if maybe there had been a kiss, he really would have been a top contender for that first impression rose. But Tino got the kiss on the stairs, so it makes sense why he got the rose. All right, ladies, I have one more question for each of you before we wrap this up. So Blakely, how much control do you think Gabby and Rachel have over their date order and who receives their one-on-one dates? How much of that is them? How much of that is production, do you think?
I think genuinely, as like each Bachelor and Bachelorette season continues, the leads get more and more control. I think that because we've had leads who have left on their own, done things that they weren't supposed to do, they've started to take the power away from the producers, especially because the audience as well no longer wants these as manipulated scenes. They want the leads to have more control. They want it to be a little bit more organic, to be a little bit more natural. And also, I feel like the producers sort of get ripped apart when the leads write books afterwards or do these tell-alls or podcasts where they say, I didn't want this guy. I was forced to have to go on this date with this girl first. I mean, I'm pretty sure Clayton was very vocal about, didn't he really like Cassie from the beginning? And then he learned he needed to downplay his and Cassie's relationship so that he would actually get time with her. So I think as we've seen each season progress, the leads have gained more and more control. And I think the fact that Gabby and Rachel have each other, it almost makes you stronger when you have another person who's supporting you and backing you up. So I think I can't give you, a ratio to how much control, but I think they will probably have the most control out of any other of the leads, because they literally have two people who are fighting for what they want versus one. It's so much harder to be manipulated and pushed into doing something you don't want to do when you have someone standing beside you. And given the way that these first one-on-ones look, it looks like they're people that they actually enjoyed and wanted to get to know more. It's not people that we didn't learn about or know about. It's people that they had genuine connections with, although we didn't see Nate in the first episode. But I'm thinking that they're having a lot more power to control exactly like what dates they want to go, who's going to be there, and how it's going to progress forward.
I totally agree. And I think we saw exactly that in night one when they were having that conversation outside of the house and Jesse Palmer came out and they were kind of having that session of, Rachel saying, they've never had two bachelorettes before. We've never had this many people. I don't see why we can't bend the rules. And then Gabby turns to Jesse and says, we're wondering if there's a different way we can go about this. Like it seems like they have more autonomy or they're more willing to ask for control and try and take those reins. Mm-hmm. So Gianna, just need your thoughts on something real quick. Can an immediate frontrunner win these women's hearts, or does the relationship need to build slowly over the season?
I would say in a normal world, not on The Bachelorette, I would say a relationship must build over time. But I think it's important that someone makes that first impression or immediately wins over their hearts, because this show is filmed so quickly. Like, we have to remember that it's only 2 months that they have to fall in love and get engaged. Like, this process is like us normal people's process with getting engaged, but times 5 trillion. Like, it's going so fast. So I feel like just in the instance of this show, I think an immediate front runner will have the advantage of going further, because it's they know their feelings right off the bat. This is reminding me of something, and I can't recall exactly who it was, but I believe it was on Katie's season. She sent somebody home, and I, again, can't even remember, because she was like, I like you, but we're way too far into the season. There's still I need to learn so much more about you, but there's just no time. Whereas all these other guys, it's been go, go, go. Again, don't quote me on that. Maybe it was Katie's season. Maybe it was Michelle's season. I know it was a Bachelorette season, but that is a prime example of why I'm saying an immediate front runner has the advantage for sure.
Totally. It is such an expedited process. So I think not only is it helpful if they automatically find you physically attractive, but you also have to be so ready to show up, open up, be vulnerable from the start. I think we've seen issues with that in the past of people who are very closed off, which a lot of people are. A lot of people need more time to warm up. The hard part about this process is you really need to be showing up night one, limo entrances, ready to give it your all. But that is everything we have for you guys right now in terms of our top 5 front runners for this new season of The Bachelorettes. Let us know your thoughts on these guys down in the comments below. And before you go, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on any Bachelorettes updates. I'm Alison Van Dam, joined today by Gianna Gravelese and Blakely McHugh. Our social handles are on the screen right now. If you want to come give us a follow, come say hello, give us all of your predictions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.